Hello everybody. I have come up with a beginner course for Flutter. It's not a scripted course, so many times you will find instances where I have made mistakes just like anybody and then solve it. I have tried to keep this course simple that covers various concepts in Flutter, like creating beautiful UIs using slivers, bottom tabs, custom form fields, fonts, etc. After this course, you won't be afraid of declarative and reactive programming. I also cover nice navigation pattern that you can scale for larger applications. And I lastly used many code generation packages that you can also implement in your applications without much difficulty. I need not say again that if you have not subscribed to my channel, then subscribe it and share this course wherever you can. So let's get started. I hope your Flutter setup is already done, but I will just take few seconds to explain how it is done. So head on to flutter.dev and go to get started. Then click on your preferred OS. In my case, it's Mac OS. So when I go to Mac OS, I can see that I can download the Flutter SDK from or Intel version or Apple Silicon version, and then I can set the path for that Flutter SDK after unzipping. And if I want to permanently set the path, I can also go to this link and do that. Once my setup is already done, let me close this browser and I will head back to terminal. So in terminal, I will actually write flutter doctor -v command. Now this command gives you overview of which Flutter version you have installed and what is the Dart version, what are the DevTools version, and other information like what is your Android SDK version, or if the Android setup is already correct or not, if iOS setup is correct or not. So in this case, you can see that there is an exclamatory mark, which means that because Cocoa Pods is not installed, not all the iOS applications or macOS applications can run, but the applications that don't require Cocoa Pods can easily run. So for that, once we come to a point in this course where we need Cocoa Pods to be installed, we will install it. Since I have no Chrome here, so it is showing me cross icon here. And because I have Android Studio, I use Android Studio. So it is saying that Android Studio's Flutter plugin is installed, Dart plugin is installed, and Java version is this one. It's also connected to macOS desktop, which is obviously this is Mac machine, so it's installed there. Now we will create a Flutter project, and for that we will navigate to a directory where we can create a empty folder. Say, because it's an event app, I will create an empty folder named EED_app, and then I will navigate inside EED_app. Now when I run flutter create command, it will actually create a Flutter project for me in this folder EED_app, and the name of the application would be EED_app because it is created inside this folder. After creating project, it runs flutter pub-get command, which downloads all the dependencies that are required for the minimal Flutter project. And once all the dependencies are downloaded, there is a main.dart file which we can utilize. So let's say, let me close this everything and let's open Android Studio and import this project EED_app. So as you see, I have opened this project EED_app. So this is my starter project, you can say, and I will change the perspective to project. Here you will see Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, web, and Windows. So these are different platforms for which Flutter can create applications. But in this course, I will only show you Android and iOS applications, so I will delete these folders. Now, let's see what is the structure of this main.dart. Main.dart consists of a main function where there is a run app function that runs your my app widget, which is a stateless widget, and that widget hosts material app. Now this material app can be replaced with Cupertino app. If your designs are majorly iOS-like designs, then you can use Cupertino app as well. But because we will be creating material app with materialyou as a theme, so I am using material app. In the theme, you can provide theme data, and as a home, you can give another widget, and so on. So Flutter works like this. There is a widget, then there is a child of that widget, which can also be a widget, and so on. So instead of home page, we will be using a scaffold, and just for the sake of running the application, I'm just replacing it with scaffold. And let's say my home page. So my home page is a stateful widget. So what is a stateful widget? A stateful widget basically has a state object which you can change at runtime. And how you can do that? You can just call setState function and increment the value which is bound to change. So we'll just delete it because we are not using it now. Okay, so let's delete this also, and let's delete this also. This is the minimal code to run a Flutter project. So I'm just starting the Flutter project, and it will take some time because this is the first time that this application is starting. Meanwhile, let me explain about pubspec.yaml file also. Here you will find the name of the application, a description, and publish to none because it's not a library. We don't want to push it to pub.dev. That's why we can do it none. We give the version of our application. We mention the SDK. So here generally you will also find Flutter SDK written here. So let's say 3.7.3. Great. So this is the Flutter SDK version which we have set. Because everything is removed, right? It's just a scaffold, and what you can expect from a scaffold. So this is that's it. Okay, we were on pubspec.yaml file. After applying this Flutter SDK, we can see that these are the dependencies. So Flutter SDK is the most important dependency for this project, and then Cupertino icons is also a dependency which probably we might not use it, so we will delete it later. There is dev dependencies for Flutter test. So these dev dependencies are important at the time of development. Like if you want to generate some files, then you can have dev dependencies, and then you will have Flutter lints. Like if you want to analyze your project with best practices, you want to make sure that your project follows best practices, so you can provide some lint rules here so that your project will be checked against those rules. We will be having a complete rewrite of this just after explaining pubspec.yaml, and later we have this Flutter where it says it uses material design, and then you can define assets here like images, fonts, and some things like that. Then that's it for this pubspec.yaml file. Whenever you make changes to pubspec.yaml file, you should be running flutter pubget command so that your dependencies are regenerated, and pubspec.log file is also regenerated. So yeah, let's move to adding new screens, and but before that, let's create a package because what we will be doing initially, instead of these Flutter lints, I have a set of lints which we will be putting, and we will be using those lints instead of Flutter lints. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so let's create a package first of all, and inside my main ed_app folder, I will just add a directory where I will say packages. From terminal, I will be creating a package. So let's see that how we can create a package. So the command for that would be flutter create, and you specify that you are creating a template, and that template is type of a package and where it has to be created. So packages folder. So I will be creating utility, and inside that folder I will have lint analysis as my package name. So let's enter this, and we will see that in the packages folder there is a utility folder and there is a lint analysis package created. Let's delete Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, Windows, everything, because it's just lint issues that we want to create. So nothing heavy. We can directly get rid of everything from here. Now, whenever you create packages, it's important to put files in source folder, but because we will be having just one file here, so I will just rename this with analysis options.yaml file, Okay, we will not have any Dart file, and inside my analysis options file, instead of flutter lints, I will include .yaml file. So what this will do, to consider linters for this package, it will include this file. Inside this file, we will have all our linter rules. So I will just paste it from my machine, and these are all the lint issues that we want to include. Okay, let's say always declare return type. So basically we cannot have anything that does not have a return type. Suppose a function, if means we should have any function should have the return type. Annotate override. So suppose if a function is to be overridden, the override annotation has to be there. Avoid empty else. So basically you cannot have any else body there. So these are some of the rules that we need, and any code should not be violating these rules. Now let's check the Flutter version for this as well. Let's complete this package. So whenever you create a package, you will have its own pubspec.yaml file, and you will have to maintain it. So we will delete flutter lints from here because it's not necessary, and we will remove all of these things as well because we don't need this. Even we can delete this complete thing, and I will also delete this test folder because it's not required. So the error is gone from here. We will run flutter pubget command in this folder. So I will press options and enter this, so that this command only runs on lint analysis, not on the whole project. So let's minimize this. This is our first package. Now we'll go to analysis options of our main project. We will remove everything from top. Since we will be not using flutter lints, we will be using our own package for that. So we will be pointing to our package, which is lint analysis, and the file will be analysis_options.yaml file. Right, this was the file that we created in the lib folder, and how this will be accessible. So for that, we will go to our this project's pubspec.yaml file and remove this flutter lints and add lint analysis from this path. So go to packages, utility, and lint analysis. Great. Now we will run flutter pubget command, so that this whole project is updated with new dependencies, and it understands that we are using analysis options now. Let's close this. So this is the setup for linters basically. Now whenever we don't write const, it will give me a warning that you have to use const. Okay, so let's say if I am creating a function, let load, it is telling me to missing return type of load. Basically it tells me that I will have to at least give some return type to this load function, and as soon as I give it void load, the error is gone. So this is how you can maintain your code with best practices by using some linter rules. Okay, so first things first, so we will create our first screen now, and I will explain you where you should create the screens, what all the folder structure should be. A basic folder structure, not a very high level, because this is a beginner course, so I will not focus much on folder structure. Obviously whatever I show can be improved a lot, and I have already showcased that in my movie app series. If you are an advanced level or intermediate level of Flutter developer, then you can watch that out. First of all, before starting, I will just remove this debug banner. So whenever you are creating an application for production environment, then you don't want this debug banner to appear. But when you are creating for developer environment, then you want this debug banner to be there, right? So let's move it to false because it doesn't look good, and that's why I'm moving it from. Let's change the theme. I will be using material because that's new theme, and I will be using material, a light theme. We will say use material true, so that we easily go to the material 3 version of this theme. And then of course I will be applying some fonts and all later in this. Here I will be calling event list page, Let's say we are calling this page. Now where is this page? So we will create a folder features. So inside that features, I will create another folder home. Okay, so because this is a home page, I will have home feature. If later in the stage when we go to favorites page, we will go to favorite folder and so on, right? Inside this, because I will have UI elements, I might also have a non-UI elements, but as of now, but still it's better to have a presentation folder to put all your widgets, all your screens, which come in your home feature. In home as well, you can have multiple screens. So for that, you can specify another folder called event list, and this will be our final folder where we will create our first Dart file, that would be event list page.dart. Generally, this is the naming convention that Dart recommends, that you name your file in lowercase separated with underscores, and Dart file should have event list page in a Pascal case basically. So this is the basic stateless widget where we are importing material.dart. First, let's add a scaffold. So this is how you add a scaffold. Now scaffold is a structure of a screen where there is a app bar, then there is a body, you can add bottom bar as well, you can add drawers and many more things. So first let's choose a app bar. I will use app bar here, which is already defined in material, and my title will be centered. Now what will be my leading icon? So for that I will just use the Flutter logo, and when I do this I will constantly press back command and backslash so that I reload the UI. So this is a shortcut for that, backslash command and backslash. I will do that constantly so that you will see the changes on the right hand side. Now since we are ready with some part, let's also import this here. Okay, now let's run this, reload this, and you can see there is this Flutter logo here. Now what we want to do is we want to have this wrapped in a circle avatar, in a circular shape. We see this Flutter logo wrapped in a pink circle, right? This is because of this circle avatar, and this color is coming from material library, which is defined to have in circle avatar. We also want this circle avatar to be shifted from left hand side a little bit. We can add a padding widget, and inside that we can give left padding, and let's say 16, which will be our constant or which will be our preferred padding if we want to give it. So we will just refine this and reload it. So now it looks better. This is the Flutter logo that we can see here. It looks better now, and I think that is it for leading icon. Let's minimize this and work on the title. So for title, I will use a text widget, and I will write my name here for the sake of simplicity, because whoever logs in to this application, that person's name will be displayed here, right? And let's say styling. So let's say what happens without style. So this is how my name is shown here. I want it to be not in center, so I can change this to false, right? Now let's do one thing. Since we have reached one of the first text, let's give it a style to it. So I will take the style from theme, and I will apply text theme here, and then I will tell that I need title medium. Okay, let's reformat this, and this is how the reformatting happens. When you add extra commas, it will be reformatted. So when I run command backslash, it is perfect, right? For me it looks okay. Now let's see how we can apply a font to it. So head on to pubspec.yaml file in your project, and let me reduce this. We need Google fonts, and dependencies should be generally ordered in a alphabetical order. Let's do one thing. Don't declare it here. For all these design elements, you should be having a separate package. Okay, like lint analysis, we can have another package that deals with design system, like your icons, or sometimes your colors, your text styles, and any other thing. So what we'll do is we'll create another package, and this was our command to create a package. But this time, since it's a core type of library, I will just say design here, and this will create a package in the core folder. So you have another folder here where there is a design, and here as well in the pubspec.yaml file, we will be using our lint analysis as our linter instead of that. So let's go to pubspec.yaml, remove this linter and import lint analysis. This is something that we will do for every project so that all our linter rules are same. So okay, utility and then lint. So this is how it's imported. Let me run flutter pubget in this this design package, and let me remove Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, Windows and test. So in the analysis options, instead of this package, now you can see that since we have run flutter pubget, flutter lint is not yet available. So we will use lint analysis here. Inside that there is a file, analysis options.yaml file. That is it. Our lint which we applied in lint analysis package are now provided here. Now inside this design library, we will first change this one 3.7.3 and remove this home page and have Google Fonts here. And this is the latest version for Google Fonts. Let's just run flutter pubget again in this package and we'll close this file. Whenever you create such packages, right, which you want to export to other application, so we'll create a source folder. We'll create a source folder here, and inside that we will have a theme folder. So all our colors and text themes will go here. If in future we decide to put something else, that can go here. Inside this folder, we will create a dart file that is text. So first thing will be to define a text theme, and I will be using Poppins text theme. We will be using Google Fonts dot Poppins text theme. So this will give us instance of Poppins text theme. Basically, this font will come from Google Fonts library. When we first run the application, all the files will be downloaded on the go. Now let's create one text theme out of it so that we change as per our requirements. So we'll create a duplicate copy of this. Basically, we will use copy with. And because we are using title medium, if you see here in the event list page, we are using title medium. We will overwrite title medium here. See, this is a text theme. It will have many more text styles. So we are just copying, as of now, we will just copy title medium from here. And we will say that from base poppins dot title medium dot copy with, I just want to take this. Of course, this will be a nullable. And I just want to take this and apply font size of 17 and font weight of 600. Okay, so our text style is ready. Now what we need to do is we need to export this text style from our design file. You just use export function, use source, and then there is a theme folder, and then there is a text. Now what we need to do is our design package is ready to be utilized in our main project. So what we will do, we'll go to pubspec.yaml file, and here, because it's alphabetical, we will just type design here, path, and then we will go to packages /core/design. And we will run flutter pubget in our project, and we will close this file. In the material app, in the theme data.light, we need to provide a text theme. What will be this text theme? This text theme will be the text theme that we return from here, which is Poppins. This is the customized Poppins theme as per our UI, our font sizes, but inherited from Poppins text theme. So we'll go to our main.dart and we will just use poppins here. And that is it. Now our project is using poppins font size, and this time I will not reload, I will restart the application. And you see the changes here, the font is changed. Okay, now after this title, we will create a list of actions which will be displayed on the right hand side. Let's say if you have an action or you have a notification icon there, so you want your user to click on that and navigate to another screen. So for that we will be using icon button there. Icon button has already some padding from right hand side, so we don't need to wrap this, and we will be using icons dot notification rounded. Okay, and we'll add comma, and I think there will be const requirement, and that is it. Now I will reload it and we can see the icon here. Now we will create a search bar below this. There will be a search bar here and there will be a send button here, which we can do in the body. There are multiple ways to do. Like first we can do directly, we can insert some container and use column and all, and but the whole code will be in the same file, or we can segregate, right? So what we will do, we'll start with the best thing that we should be doing at the end as well. So I will be creating multiple children here, and first one will be search box. Okay, so this will be our custom widget. So I will, inside this event list folder, right, I will create another Dart file which will be search box. Okay, and let's create a search box basic widget here, and let's import it here so that we can see the changes live. Fine, and this const will move to the top. And now let's see how we can create this search box. Okay, placeholder is just a placeholder widget. So what we need is, we need a row to create a field, a text field sort of thing, right? So let's create a row, and then we will have children here. I will be using a decorated box, right, because I want some radius around it. So we will use box decoration, and inside that box decoration my color would be color 0x. So color is there. Then we will have border radius, which will be border radius dot circular, and we will have 16. So okay, it's not a const constructor. Fine. So because we applied const here, it applied to everything. That's why. Now this decorated box can have a child as well, which will be our text form field, and inside that text form field, let's give it a hint. So for that, what we need to do is, we need to give it a decoration, and this will be input decoration. Inside that we'll give a hint text, and inside that we will give it a hint text like search by event name, let's say that. Okay, now I will show you how it looks like. And there are too many errors, right? Why? Because we should be adding expanded here. Okay. This is our black text field, and you can see that there is a line, right? For that, to remove that line, we will be inside input decoration, we will be giving a border to it, which will be input border dot none, right? So once we reload it, the line is gone, and we need some spacing as well from left and even from right hand side. So what we will do is, we'll wrap this decorated box in a padding, and we will give symmetrical, horizontal, and 16. So now we have good sufficient amount of padding here, and what we can do next, Let's also change the color of this black box, right? I think I made a mistake. It should be 0f, and yeah, this is the color that I want. So basically, let me remove the yellow. Yeah, so this is the color that I want, and the font also looks good. Whatever font it has taken by default, it looks good. There is a cursor somewhere and everything like that. So let's add prefix icon. It will be icons.search and icons.search, and the size would be 20. Let's say let's run it. You have a search icon, then you can type in here anything like that, and yes, great. So search by event name looks pretty nice. Now what we can do is we can also there is too much of gap. If you want to reduce this gap, you can change it to something else, like you can say prefix icon constraints, and then you can specify box constraints dot tight, and then you can give it a size, const size dot from radius and 18. So yes, there was too much of gap, so we have reduced that gap to something smaller than what was default, right? So this is how you can stylize this, right? Now what else we can do here? I think the font size on search by event name is good, but what about the text style that will come here? Directly style. This style will be applied to the text. Now we will say theme dot of context, then text theme. And what should be the text theme for this? I say body large. Let's say that I'm sort of liking this, but let's keep it body large. And how much? Okay, this looks good. We can customize this a little bit, again going back to our text theme. Let's copy this and say body large. Okay, inside body large we will use body large here. Okay, and the font size will be 17. It will be little bit thinner. So let's rerun it and maybe reload completely, restart the application, because we have, yeah, this looks okay. There is some problem here that this text is not actually in center, looks like that. So what we'll do is we'll add a vertical alignment as well to this. So we can add text align vertical, and that would be text align vertical dot center. Now, okay, no changes, maybe because it was already in center probably, but to be safer side, let's use center here. Okay, fine. Now let's also give hint a style, right? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So you write this text. This style is applied to the text that we write. We didn't write any text. Let's remove this and see where it goes. Okay, nothing changes. So basically we were, I was wrong actually, but everything works as it is with center or without center. Now let's give it a hint text style as well. So this will be again a body large, but with a different color. Copy width, and color will be, let's say, black version, but black 26, so that it's little bit different from black. And now we will just remove this, and see, now it looks better. If I remove this, it is little bit darker. It doesn't look like a hint, but now it looks like a hint. So this is perfect for us. We need to have a send button as well. Sometimes we need that, sometimes we don't need that. In this scenario, I want that I should be having a button on the right hand side. So what I will do is I will use another icon button, and on press we will handle later. That is it. So we have a send icon properly fitting here. I think there is something required on the top of search bar. So these things I think we should be handling in event list page. So there is very less gap between the app bar and the search. So what we will do is we will wrap this column in a padding widget and give it a padding of 8 itself. So it has shifted a little bit below. Now let's add a sized box so that we can see some gap before we create a categories list. There will be a horizontal list of categories and we will be creating a widget again. So let's say event category is the widget name. First of all, we don't need const here. Create another dart file and then this will be a stateless widget. So how this event category should look like? It has a horizontal list, basically horizontal elements. We can scroll through left and right, and then one of the item will be selected based on which the list will be displayed. So for that, let's say we'll have, first of all, we'll have two variables here. Active category, okay, fine, and then there will be let's remove that for later part. Let's add this in the constructor. So now we have some active category, correct, but we don't know what are the categories. So for that we will create a model and we will create a folder model, and inside that we will create a mock dart file. Here we will be assigning some list of strings which will act as a static list as of now. We will see later if we want to bring it from server or something else, but as of now let's go with this. So these are the categories and we will have these categories bring in here instead of in some widgets, and one of the category will be our active category. So this will be a sized box. First of all, because it's in a column, we need to give some height or some width to it. Let's give 40 as a height, and the child will be ListView dot builder, and we will have some builder here. But before that, let's say the scroll direction, so it will be axis dot horizontal because we want to scroll it in a horizontal direction. This item builder will take two things, contacts and index, and how many items will build will be decided by this item count. So let's give categories dot length. This categories is coming from that mock file. Now we will have to return some widget from here, and that widget will be return event category item. Okay, what all goes in this? First of all is active, whether this category is active or not, and then we'll have categories index if it is equal to active index. So basically when the loop runs for this item builder, we will fetch every category from that mock and compare it with active category. If it is active category, then this flag will be true, otherwise it will be false. What will be the text of this category? So let's give it categories and index. So because it's directly string file, we can easily get away by just fetching the text from the categories. If it is the okay, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it this much is only, and let's create another dot file that will be event. Now in this file we'll create another stateless widget. We will have those variables like final bool is active, final string text. Okay, so these were the two variables that we assigned there. We will add one comma to format it. Okay, now how this will look like? So basically let's take a text, simple text, and assign the text to it. Let's give the style to it. Theme dot, again take it from the theme itself. so that we don't lose out on the fonts. And this time it will be body small. Great, but we have not finalized what will be the body small. So let's go to text dot and we will say body small, and font weight will be a thinner one again, because it's not the highlight of the page, right? So it can be something, very small. We'll go back to the category item. We have given the body small to it, and let's see how it turns out to be. So go to event category, just import it here, go to event list page and import it here, and let's rerun it. I think there is some problem. Okay, yeah. So first we have to say that what is the active category. Let's say all is my active category. Okay, I click on this, and this is how my all categories are listed here. Not bad, but it can be better, right? First, we need to add some padding to it so that every text is actually far from, every category is little bit far from each other. So let's say 16 is the padding for all of them. Okay, so they are already, already far from it, right? Great, so it goes in and out and everything works. Now we also want to make it tappable. So this is my inkwell. Let's wrap this further because we want to highlight this. Whatever is selected, we want to highlight that, right? And when I'm talking about whatever is selected, let's do one more thing. Let's assign a color to it. If it's active, then the color would be color. And when it's not active, it would be simple colors.black. So let's run it, and yeah, great. So this is highlighted and rest all are not highlighted. To make it more highlighted, we will have to wrap this inside a container. Okay, so let's wrap it in a container so that we can give it a decoration, and let's say box decoration. What will be the radius of this box? It would be border radius dot circular 16, right? And we can also have a color to it. So if it's active, and when it's not, then it's just the transparent color, which is the default one. So now you see that it's highlighted, it's selected and everything, right? But it's not in center. So let's wrap this text in center, and now you have all the text in center. So what happened, this text widget was wrapped in padding, and it didn't tell where the text should be. So it's just in center. There is some height increased, but then nothing happened. So it's just in center now. Okay, let's do one more thing. Animated container. Let's use animated container and add a duration to it, and I will show you the power of implicit animations. Basically, I will just add 1000 here, and now I will just reload it. In my event category, when I change my active category, in my event list page, when I change my active category to art and I just reload, you see the switching has happened with the help of animation, and this all happened automatically. What happened exactly, that this color got changed, and implicit animations power is that it will automatically show you animations. So initially it was this, but then it became transparent, and for the art element it was initially this and then it became this one. So this is how the animation will work. Now when we are using such type of UI elements where they are very much attached to the screen, what happens is we often do one mistake. We add a margin here and we do edge insets dot symmetry horizontal 16, and we run it. Now what happens because of this? See, there is too much of gap between all of them, which we don't require. we just require some gap at the start, and we want to maintain that gap in between as well. So for that, we need to have a different margin for the first element, and we need to have a different margin for the last element or a first element, and we give some margin to as a default margin to other elements. So let's consider that we have a variable final bool is last. Okay, now based on this is last, what we will do, if it's a last element, which is business, right? So for that, we will add only right padding. We will add only right padding so that it has some spacing from here. For all the other elements, we will have left margin, but for the last element, we will have right margin, right? Let's apply this is last. So how we can do that? Let's go to event category, and here this will be is last here. Let's make changes here as well. Required this dot is last, and then go to event category. Now is last. So if index is equal to categories dot length -1, which means this is the last element, and let's rerun this. So now you see business is having perfect gap, right? But these gaps are compromised, correct? Why? Because some of them have different gaps now. For that, what we will do is we need is first here. If it's first element, then only we will give it a 16, otherwise we will give it 8. Okay, so sorry, not like this. Left, if it's first, then we give it 16, otherwise we give it 8, right? So yes, let's define required. Now go to event category and supply is first here, where if index equals to 0, and then run it. Okay, there is one problem. Okay, it's not a const. Great. Now let's run it, and now what happens is if it's the first element, of course it's not last, and hence the controller will come here. If it's the first element, the left margin will be 16, and for other elements, for the second element, it will follow in this, it will get 8. So its left margin is 8, and for other elements as well it's 8, like this one, all are having 8, and if it's last, it's 16 again. So we have very consistent thing here, right? So let's continue with another element. Let's add event list. Let's take event list here, const, and this event list, another widget in this package, in this folder. So let's create. We will have a ListView dot separated because it will have a divider as well. So whenever you want to create a list which has a divider, you need to have a ListView dot separated. I will just complete this setup context index. So these both the builders use context and index to have everything. Now what we want to do is, we in the mock itself, not here exactly, we need to have a model for events and then create mock out of it. So let's define a event class. So this will be our event class, and then it will have an image which can be a null as well. Sometimes image won't come. So, and then start date, then final. Let's say yeah, image will always come because that's a mandatory thing for me. End date. End date is something which might not come for that event, right? Then there will be always a name for that event. There will be a cost. There will be a location, and there will be a description. Oh, discount cost. Great. So we have this event. Let's create a constructor with all the fields as required, and I will tell you a very small shortcut. When I hold shift and option, I can create multiple cursors here and add required. That's it. So required always oops, okay, it needs a curly bracket. Great. So this is our model. Now let's create mock out of it, which I will simply copy. I've just copied the events and I'm just pasting it. Discount cost can actually be null, so that's why let's make it a nullable thing. And inside now we have this complete event list. So events dot length becomes the length of this list, and then let's return a divider from here. Let's just keep the simple divider. I will tell you how to configure the divider as well. And list item, we will return event item, and this event item will have a event from index. Let's create another Dart file that will hold event item. So basically there are many options to create this. It looks like we can do with list style as well, but whatever design I wanted to achieve is not able to be achieved with just list item. So list style. So I will be creating my own custom thing. So first of all, we will have a image here. Let me quickly create the imports, updated imports, so that we will see it happening live. Great. And we want to have this as a required parameter here, so it will be required this dot event. Great. And we'll have final event. Great. Now I will first create a row. Okay. The first element of course will be an image, right? So let's use image.asset. Now there is always a better way to a thing, right? I can simply put all the assets here and give the path to them, right? So first of all, let me just bring in my assets named assets. Okay, and then I will paste the images. So these are my images for different events, right? And you can see here in the mock I have just kept it empty because there is a specific reason for that. Now what we will do in our pubspec.yaml file, we have to give assets here, right? So let's give assets name. It's located inside assets and inside images folder. Let's remove this and let's remove this specific file and take the whole folder. Correct. Let's remove everything from here. It looks cluttered. Let's make it simple and readable. Great. So this is how my assets look like. Basically what you do is when you go to event item and you want to give a image asset name, so what you will do, image.asset assets dot, then you write assets/images, and you have to remember every path, right? What will be that path and everything, you have to remember that path. So instead of remembering, why not have a class or why not have a static fields which will store the name of that? So for that we can use this library called FlutterGen, and this FlutterGen library will generate some classes for you. So let's say I will say FlutterGen. Okay, and what will be the output where I want to generate this file? So I want to generate this in assets folder. Okay, if you have assets in the package folders, then you can specify assets, then outputs, and then you can say package parameter enabled. What this will say that if you have assets in a package package, then also it will generate for them by specifying the package name. So that will be very handy. And we want to have build runner for this as well. Build runner. This is the main dependency that will help us in generating images. And why? Because this another dependency of dev dependency, flutter gen runner, actually uses this to generate that file for us. So let's say this is the version for this, and now I will run flutter pubget command. Okay, flutter pubget is run. What we need to do is we need to run another command which will trigger the build runner. Okay, so that would be flutter pub run build runner build delete conflicting outputs. Okay, now let's run it and let's see the changes. I will close this lib and it's running now for the first time in this project. Okay, it succeeded with one output. What is that output? You can see in the lib there is a assets folder created and there is a assets.gen.dart file. It says do not modify. It is generated by fluttergen. What did it do? Basically, it just creates some static getters which already has some path in it. So what we can do now? We can go to event item. We can write assets dot let me just import it. Yes, so this is that file, assets dot images dot, and you have all these files. You have all these files which were the images for us. What we will do now, we will go to our mock and we will change correct. My mock is ready. My event item now can use event.path, event.image, and what this will do is this will load a page, or this time because I added assets I will have to actually restart the complete application. Oh, see, cocoa pods. So we have come to that stage where cocoa pods are not there. So what we can do, let's go to this website. Let's explore this. So it says sudo gem install cocoa pods. Great. So I will close this, open the terminal, and sudo gem install cocoa pods. Okay, password. Great. So 34 gems installed. Great. We just need to run our application. So now it's running pod install, and yes, I got the error. So why is this error? CocoaPods requires your terminal to be using UTF coding. Consider adding the following to profile. So what I will do, I will copy this. I will open terminal. I will go into vi.profile and I will copy this, escape, shift WQ and source profile. That's it. I will close the terminal. Whatever it has said, I have done it. We'll close this. We'll try to rerun. So why it needed pods? Because see, when we are displaying images from our local on iOS phone, then it needs to interact with platform libraries. It needs to interact with path. Okay, so I tried with setting up CocoaPods, and Eventually, I restarted my machine and I saw that after running Flutter Doctor, my CocoaPod setup was all okay. So it was just the matter of restarting the machine probably. After that, I was able to run the application, and we can see that application is running, but there is some error, which is of course in our widgets. So why is that? Because when you are placing elements in column, you see search box is there, then there is a size box, and there is a event category, and below that there will be an event list. This event list will take up the complete space, and because it's a list view, there is no bounded height for it. So we want to just specify that it's not bounded and let it expand for the complete screen, and that's what happened here. There is an image now. We can see this image and we can actually scroll it also, right? Now let's fix this. Let's go to event list and go to event item, and this is our image. First, what we will do is we will wrap it in a sized box. Now there is a reason why I am using size box instead of just giving width and height to my image. You will soon realize that. So this is how my image is now of 70 width, and then I can also ideally I want all of my images to have same height. So for that I will wrap this image.asset in a aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is something which forces your widget to get some specific width or height based on whatever. If one element is specified, like if you have a specific width, then it would make height with respect to this aspect ratio. So let's take 0.6. So now you see there is some spacing around this image, which is the spacing of this image.asset itself. But because the image itself is not completely fitting in this area, it's just there. So what we can do is we can make it boxfit.fill, so that it will now fill completely in the remaining space. I also want to wrap this in clip-rect so that I have a nice rounded corner around all the edges. So let's say border radius dot circular 8. Okay, and let's add a lingoma, format it, and this is how it looks. Now let's wrap this size box in a padding widget. Where we will give some padding like left padding 16, which is our generic padding from left hand side for any element in the screen. So when I refresh it, this is my image which is shifted left hand side. Now let's close this, and now let's add column. Now this column will have 3 children. First will be date, second will be event name, and third will be location. Now let's print date first. So event dot date. Now we have 2 dates here, so we want to actually correctly place the dates here. So for that, what I mean is, if there is no end date provided, then we need to only show start date. Okay, so for that we will calculate the date. We will basically construct the date on our own, and we will just write this small logic: event dot end date. If it's not empty, of course default value will be false, because we are considering that this will be false. If it's not empty, then we will return a string that has event dot start date, then a hyphen, and then it has event dot end date. But if I don't have end date, I will just return the start date. So this is my date. Now I will give it a style. Let's say let's copy this and now let's see how the date is placed. So this is how the date is placed. All of them have some end date. So let me mock and let me give end date as null. Okay, and let's run it. So here you see only one date, 8 June, because yeah, our logic worked basically. Now let's place in name of the event. Okay, and this time it will be body medium. Now remember, we didn't specify any style for body medium, so we'll just create it quickly. Now whenever you do this stuff, you are actually creating a new copy of body medium which is inside base poppins. So you need to always make sure to use body medium from base poppins as well, otherwise all of the styles like colors and everything will be lost. So this is the event name, and we see that event name is here. Let me just restart the complete application so that the font is applied, and you can see every text is center aligned. Why? Because by default the cross axis alignment of this column is center. So now everything is left aligned. Let's add some padding towards right also. Okay, so that there is some gap between name and the image. Also looking at this image, stick to all. Let's go to event category and let's wrap this as well, and let's give it a bottom padding of 8. Okay, so now it's perfect, very nice. We will come back to event item, and we have this column. Now let's add another column. This time this column will have 2 elements, cost and discount cost. So I will just copy this one because the text style of cost is same to as event medium. We need to have children here first, then this, and then this. Okay, so here we will be saying event.cost. Let's run it. So we see some render flow exception. Why? Because see, this column has taken complete space and there is no space for second column to come. So for that we will say that hey, just take the available space and try to fit in there. Okay, so when it tries to fit in there, it chooses to float this name into 2 lines. So we can also make it max lines as 1. So now it will come in 1 line, and then we can tell user that hey, the text is pretty big but we can show only smaller one. So let's use ellipsis to inform user that the title is cut off, and they can go to details and see the title. One thing that we forgot was to add location. So let's add location as well here. Now location can be null. If you see here, location can be null. So if it's null, we will say online, because if location is not there, let's assume that it's an online event, like in this case, right? There should be some gap in this between the name and the location. So let's give it a height of 8, and this looks pretty nice now. We can increase the height as well, but it looks okay. Now what we will do, come to event cost. Great, we want to add dollar to it. Okay, so how we can do is and also there is some 0 amount, right? So instead of when the cost is 0, we want to say that if cost is 0, let's say show free, or otherwise let's keep it event.cost. Okay, so it is converted to free. We also want to add dollar to it. So let's say I will convert it to a string and attach a dollar sign to it. Of course, this sign, this currency will come from server, but for now we are just hardcoding it. So the dollar is added to it. Now what next we can do? We can wrap this column in a padding widget so that there is sufficient distance from right hand side, and there is sufficient distance for this column to be distant from left hand side as well, from the name. So great. Okay, there is no comma. Fine. So after running this, there is sufficient gap between everything and consistent gap as well. So we are done with this. What's left? Next is discount cost. So sometimes we would like to show discount cost as well, and we will show body small there. So this is how it looks, but we want it to be cut off basically. So let's say, and also discount cost can be null. If it is null, then it is showing, okay, let it be discount cost. Great, so it is showing null. Yeah, so this is a problem. We cannot apply the same logic to this one, correct? So what we can do, let's say if event.discount cost is null, okay, then we say don't show it, or just show single quotes, right? This type of logic we can handle with the help of this thing. So this is how it works. Now what we can do is we can add, we want to strike line through this 250, we want to cut it in half. How we can do that? In the text style itself, you can apply a decoration, and let's say decoration dot line through. Okay, now let's run it, and we see this 250 is cut off. Great. So yeah, now the last thing that we want to work on event list would be to consider modifying this divider itself. And how we can do that? This divider is starting from left and right, but we want it to start from here, obviously, right? So let's customize this. First of all, let's add indents to it. So 16 is the indent, so this will add left indent. It will not start from the very start. And then end indent is also same, which adds this one. And then we also want its color to be little bit more, be opaque. It should be very minimal, right? And then we want to say height as 0, so that now it's stuck, right? Now why I did this, let me take you to a next step. This event item in the event list, we will wrap this in Inkwell. Suppose in future we will wrap this in Inkwell, and then we will add on tap to it, right? On tap. Okay, now something will happen. We will go to event details page. Let's run this. Now when I click this, see that it's selected, but how much is selected? You can see here that there is a white space bit after the divider. And why it is that? Because the default height of divider is something, because of which we have selected event item, not the divider, and that's why it's cut. So what we want to do is, we want our event item to be exactly bigger, so that the touchable area is also good, right? So we will do that, but before that, let's make this height as 0. And once that is done, inside this Inkwell, we will just wrap this event item, and we'll give the symmetry vertical and 16. So now when I run this, first of all, there is proper gap. Okay, there is proper gap. When I select it, you will see that this whole item is selected, which looks very nice when user touches it. And this is minute details that many of developers will miss out. And this is the way we should be creating UI. And it doesn't matter how many widgets you are using, but ultimately it should look actual to the user when they are playing with your UI.